I'm Sandra. Standing in the doorway of my childhood home, I clutch my bag tightly, the folder of damning evidence weighing heavily within. Inside, my so-called parents are in a frenzy, their pleas and accusations echoing through the door. The sound is a far cry from the false warmth they showed me earlier in the evening. It all started when I won the lottery. One gray Tuesday, after a long day at work, I stopped at a corner gas station. I was exhausted and just wanted a quick microwaved sandwich. On a whim, I added a lottery ticket to my purchase, not thinking much of it. The ticket sat on my refrigerator for a week until I heard on the news that no one had claimed the $7 million prize. Curiosity got the better of me, and when I checked the numbers, my knees nearly buckled. Suddenly, I was a headline in the local paper. Old co-workers left messages, and acquaintances sent friend requests. But I kept my circle small, cherishing the peace I'd fought so hard for. Then, one evening as I was having tea, the phone rang. The name on the screen, Mom, froze me in my tracks. Hearing her voice after 10 years was like being pulled back into a past I'd tried to bury. She said they'd missed me, and my father invited me to Thanksgiving dinner. I almost laughed at the irony, but I decided to play along. I knew their sudden interest was likely tied to my newfound wealth. I called them back and lied about losing most of the lottery money in risky investments. Their responses were as cold as I'd suspected. My father said it was unfortunate, and my mother suggested I focus on myself and skip the dinner. It was then that I knew their call was never about reconciliation. Determined to uncover the truth, I started searching public records online. What I found was a mess. The house they boasted about was heavily mortgaged, property tax payments were overdue, and there were lawsuits from unpaid contractors. My mother had signed for loans she couldn't repay, and my father was involved in a community development board with whispers of mismanaged funds. Thanksgiving Day arrived. The house was decorated for the holiday, but the warmth was all for show. My mother's smile was too wide, and my father's compliments carried hidden barbs. As the meal progressed, I could sense the tension building. After dessert, they finally revealed their true intention. They needed $200,000 to save the family. That's when I placed the folder on the table. Their chatter stopped, and their eyes widened with fear. As they opened the folder and saw the evidence of their financial ruin, the floodgates opened. My mother begged, sobbing and trying to explain, while my father grew angry and defensive. But I was unmoved. I told them I wouldn't be their savior. Standing up, I gathered my things and prepared to leave. Their voices followed me, but I didn't look back. The night air was crisp as I walked down the driveway, the weight that had been on my chest for 10 years finally lifting. 10 years ago, I was 18, and my life changed forever. I remember the sharp, floral smell of my mother's perfume in the living room that night, masking the tension in the air. I stood there with my half-zipped backpack, waiting for someone to stop the argument. Instead, my father's cold words cut through the silence. "You're holding us back, Sandra. Don't call us again." My mother didn't even flinch. She folded her arms and looked past me as if I was already gone. I wanted to argue, to remind them of all the years I'd tried to be the perfect daughter, with good grades and no trouble. But I knew it was useless. Their decision was made long ago. I walked to my room, my legs shaking, and packed a single duffel bag with jeans, sweaters, and a worn paperback I couldn't bear to leave behind. The house was eerily quiet as I left. No one followed me, no one stopped me. The next day, I found a run-down studio apartment. The walls were so thin I could hear the neighbors fighting, and the radiator rattled all night. I took on multiple jobs: a grocery store clerk, a diner waitress, and a night janitor. It was a struggle, but I saved every penny. I also took night school classes in business and accounting, hoping to find a way out of the cycle. Birthdays were spent alone with a slice of store-bought cake, and Christmas mornings meant working extra shifts. But I learned to find comfort in small things: a kind smile from a stranger, a used book with someone else's notes. One morning, while having cheap coffee before work, I noticed a foreclosure listing for a duplex. The price was low enough to make me pause. After some calculations and a nerve-wracking loan application, I bought the duplex. It was hard work, but seeing it transform gave me a sense of purpose. That duplex led to other small properties, and with each one, I gained more confidence. I was building a life for myself, independent of my parents' approval. Now, as I stand at the curb, looking back at the house that once held so much pain, I take a deep breath. I think of the life I've built, the strength I've gained, and the peace that comes from choosing myself. And I turn towards the dark street, ready to continue my journey alone.